Wow.
It's better to find out now.
Yes.
My phone goes on already. The light is on here.
Yes. It is.
Maybe I'm fixing. Hello? No, they're welcome.
No echo?
No echo?
Yay!
There we go. Let's,
Good job.
I just switched to a different microphone.
Oh.
It usually listen off, but on the computer.
Yeah.
Which is, you know,
So somehow, someone trying to speak in. Okay, that's fantastic. I love everything. Yeah. I was really worried earlier this week that we were going to really long meeting next week.
Oh, because it looked like,
Yeah.
yeah, it looks like there's a plenty of name tags that showed up, so we'll have to see, hopefully we'll have at least five.
It's like, oh, no, nothing. But then like the consequence,
Yeah.
like, no. We can't skip a meeting. I know what happens when we have a 6-hour meeting.
Of course, I send an email right before I leave to come to here, and then I get a text from my coworker. It's like, oh, you got two things wrong. I said, it is, you know, can we get those right before it happens?
hello, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Since I walked into buildings, I was like, oh, why did I never use to?
You kind of not learn. It's been years now, right?
Well, and today it was like, as soon as I walked in the lobby, it's like a gush of like Arctic air. It was like, why do we keep this building this temperature? I don't understand.
Very cool.
How's everybody doing today?
Good, how are you?
Kim was on the web. Just wondering. That's why she said she wasn't sure if she was gonna be here. She knew she was getting sick. So that's never a good feeling. Yeah.
Not at all. It's like, ooh. You know, it's coming, right? The storm is coming.
Look,
So
it
hey,
never seems to have.
Harold seems to have.
Harold missed us, yeah.
I don't understand how.
I want to say be a disappointment, but at the same time, some of the other remnants we've had, I have lost power for a week, so I will say I am not that disappointed.
All right.
Two separate occasions, one 7 days, one 8 days.
So who else?
The generator.
We have a portable generator.
That's insane.
No, when we did the addition and stuff, we rewired, we put in a new electrical panel because the old one was like.
Turn this guy on and ready to rock.
I
It was just us four, right?
So.
I think there's one.
It's wired.
Okay. You have to, yeah, to wheel it up and plug it in.
but
It's still
otherwise.
better than
Yeah.
other alternatives where you don't even have that.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope.
Because it's just gonna be another 5 to 10 grand.
Yeah.
It's just like,
It can't ours came with our house, and I'm like, this is fantastic.
my mom has one that came with her.
Yeah.
She lives 1 street away, so that's why the other,
Yeah.
like, well, worst comes to worst, we're going to Grammys.
Natural gas, but it just
Exactly.
goes, we had a month ago, we had a 13 miles per hour.
It was all right.
And I was like, oh, thank God.
13 hours.
How are you?
Well, yeah, because you're on AEP, I'm on the city, so 13 hours for the city is pretty long.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you? I took your spot.
No, that's.
It's trying to spread out.
No worries. Let's talk that Rob is saying.
Gonna pick Jack, we'll see.
I think
That's a big
Sure.
street, though.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Fun.
Morning. Yeah.
Yes.
Is quorum is 4?
4.
Because no one wants to have a double meeting.
It was our introduction to it.
Yes.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, our very first
I mean,
meeting
you've been
was
through
6
worse, but
hours.
still.
Oh, right, because it was catching up for.
Yeah.
I heard about that.
Yeah, that was tough.
Like, what did we have agreed to? Really?
I was through dinner, I brought a Cliff Bar, I think. Bottle.
Yeah, we had 1 5-minute break in the
Yeah.
6-hour meeting.
I have some stamina.
But we didn't want to drag it out any longer.
Love that.
Like, oh yeah, let's break an hour for dinner. No.
That was when I got her microphone. I was like, what did you agree to? It's like, excellent.
And that's your first meeting, right? Yeah.
Yeah, us three.
Yeah.
3 of us.
I know. And I was sitting there with my fingers and legs crossed, like, hopefully they don't feel like it's every time.
And we weren't even the ones asking all the questions then. I mean, maybe a few here. I think we were all pretty reserved.
That's good work. Awesome. All right, so we can get ready and get going whenever everybody's all set. So just let me know and we're gonna start.
Good start.
Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna call to order, I'm gonna say the July Victorian Village Commission meeting, so July 10th. Our next business meeting will be Wednesday, July 31st, 2024. At 12 p.m. noon. And that's going to be at 111 North Front Street, 2nd floor, room 205, which is the room next door. Our next hearing date will be Wednesday, August the 14th, 2024 at 4 p.m. And that's going to be at 111 North Front Street, 2nd floor, room 204, the room that we're in now. Want to swear in staff? Can you state your name?
Yes, Jacqueline myself, senior preservation planner. I am filling in for Woodington.
Perfect. Do you agree to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you so much. All right, introduction of commissioners present.
Robert Dotson, Pete Schuler.
Belinda Shaw.
Reed Sprite?
Sean Conyers. Anything that you want to overview of the hearing format or anything of that nature that you talk through?
Yeah, so hearing format, how this will go, the city staff will present the application. The applicant and owners will then be sworn in, asked to present any additional information if they have any. Any registered speakers will be sworn in and providing 3 minutes to speak for each speaker. And then the commissioners will discuss the case and ask any questions as needed.
Perfect. All right, so I don't think we have a public forum or anything like that today.
No public forum.
Okay, all right. With that being the case, then I will turn it over to Stan.
Okay, so our first application was actually withdrawn, so we're gonna move to number 2 on the agenda. And this is for 916 Harrison Avenue, so ED 2406019.
Do we want to do staff approvals and
Oh, you're right.
agenda,
Yes.
meetings agenda?
Let's jump back to that. Appreciate it. Okay, so staff approvals, we have a motion.
No, so is there a motion for staff approvals?
Motion to approve the staff approvals.
Is there a second?
Second.
Perfect. I'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Staff approvals. And then I think we'll let you read them through and see if there's any abstentions at all, or if that's okay. Sorry, we're gonna move on further. Thank
No,
you.
don't forget to, okay, so first one, 231 West Hubbard Avenue. 1033 North High Street. 1017 Hunter Avenue. 796 Neal Avenue, 1149 Neal Avenue, 110 Buttles Ave, 301 West Third Avenue, 911 Neal Avenue, 182 West Fourth Avenue, 120 West Prescott Street, and 58 to 64 West Third Ave, a couple more here, 188 West Fourth Ave, through 19 West Russell Street, 337 to 339 West Second Avenue, 309 West Fourth Avenue, 100 West Star Avenue, 1025 Hunter Avenue, and that is it.
I'm gonna have to abstain for 911 Neal Avenue, just based on proximity. Okay. And then switch to approval of the minutes from the last meeting, which would have been June 12th. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from the June 12th meeting.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any discussion at all on the minutes? Alright. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. All right, so now.
All right, now we get to
Do the application. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so first up that we have on the agenda now is the number for the second application there, which is 918 Harrison Avenue. So the proposal for this application is to remove existing concrete stairs and replacing those with concrete stairs, bringing the stairs up to the current code. They would be bringing new tread riser and distance from the sidewalk into code compliance, and in doing so, altering the existing porch landing by removing a 10.75-inch deep cut to allow for the new stairs. The existing handrails would remain, or if not code compliant, stair handrails would be replaced with ones that meet code and painted to match the existing porch railings. If the landing is hollow, the applicant will pour a new footer approximately 18 inches in length, and the width of the stairs 83.50 inches. The length will be 12 inches back toward the house, with 6 inches extending past where the first stair would begin. The new block would then be laid out from the footer to the edge of the porch, and that 83.50 inches opening to provide support to the porch slab on the entire perimeter, which would be how it is currently constructed. So at the area where the stairs meet the slab, there is a small curve around the perimeter above the base walls of the porch. And so the first option proposal is to wrap the curve around the first stair where the cutout of the slab will be. The curve in this instance will be slightly longer in length on the inside of the stair, and the first stair will be slightly shorter in width, but would still be code compliant in both options. So option 2 is to start about 8 to 10 inches from where the curve meets the stairs and gradually grind the concrete down, and the curve transitions into flat. And then we have the prior staff analysis included, and so the staff recommendation is to recommend approval of application BB 240619 at 919 Harrison Avenue, with the condition that if the landing is hollow, scaled and measured section drawings are be submitted to HBO staff detailing construction of the new landing and steps. And that recommendation is based on the city code for standards of alteration 3116.11. And I believe that is it, so I'll turn it back over to the commission.
Awesome. So I'm just looking at the audience, and I don't know if we even have.
You're.
Number
Yeah.
I apologize.
No worries, it's perfect timing
Yeah.
from that perspective, so that's good. So, I'll state your name, sir, and get you sworn in.
James Kress.
Perfect. Do you agree to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, sir?
I do.
Okay, thank you. All right, so, obviously two options, had a great conversation last month.
Yes.
So can you just quickly just kind of talk us through this?
Sure. So yeah, so he said if it is hollow, the goal first would be if we don't have to disturb that block that's already there and can just take out the stairs, that's going to be the ideal. That way we're not moving anything.
Yes, sir.
If we do end up needing to, he'd go in, if there is not already a footer in, or a footer that's gonna call it a 10-inch cinder block. That's gonna be 18 inches, so we've got some room on both sides. Rebuild up the wall so that way there is still a connection on all pieces of it. And then lay down, put in the new stairs from there. He did say, because I know there was some concern too about the weight of concrete on the porch slab. He said probably a better way to describe it would be more of a resurfacing. It's gonna be maybe an 1/8 inch thick of 10 pounds of concrete is gonna be added. It's really just skimming it over to kind of clean up the appearance. It's aesthetic more than anything, just so that way you're not seeing kind of where the repairs have been made, and it's just kind of giving that slab a full refresh. And then I think the other question was with regards to that kind of curb that comes around, so we can either grind it down and have a transition to just become flat. Like as it's coming, see if there's,
This is the overhang of the.
yeah, that like, yeah, that,
Inch and a half.
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of either grind it down so it transitions to flat and becomes even. We just kind of pull that curb all the way around, then just keep it going, and where you're kind of doing the cutout with the new stairs, it just kind of transitions into the back of that first riser.
Awesome.
So that way it kind of keeps it all the way around and keeps the aesthetics.
Awesome. And then at the same time, the recommendation from staff, and probably, did you hear that in terms of, you know, being able to provide drawings, if all of a sudden the slab is hollow, being able to provide drawings that would give them a better understanding of what's necessary for those details prior to execution? Staff is asking for.
I did kind of walked in, I think, as that, so if we could just a little bit more detail on that, so I understand, would be helpful.
Would you be able just to repeat that recommendation component?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so the staff recommendation is to recommend approval of the application with the condition that if the landing is hollow, that scaled and measured section drawings are submitted to HBO staff detailing the construction of the new landing steps.
Okay.
So for the drawings, what would you just be basically, because I mean, I could mock that up and resubmit that tomorrow, because it's just, difference is just gonna be whether
That's,
we're installing additional cinder
and
block.
I think just from a standpoint of being able just to illustrate the scope of work, that just gives the staff something.
Sure, to look
Yeah,
back on.
Yeah, that's all. I think that's.
Okay, would it
that
be
would the
acceptable
only
to submit
step.
that ahead of time as, hey, here's our, my word would just be, we get in there, it is hollow, and then I've got to tell two families, you cannot use your front porch, there's not gonna be stairs till TBD.
Yeah. Great point from that perspective.
Yeah, that's fine if you want to submit it that way. It's like a contingent. If that is the case, just let Kimberly know and then we'll have it on file with you.
I can do that, that's not a problem.
You may need it for a permit too.
Yeah,
Awesome. Okay. All right, perfect. Anything else you want to add before we shift?
not from my end, I just want to make, did I address all the questions, kind of concerns from the last meeting?
So far, yes, sir.
Okay.
Anything else do we need anything else there? So it seems like it's just more of a approval, as we noted. I don't know if there's the two options. One is kind of skimming it to flat, or just being able just to retain and allow the overhang to kind of come back in. It seems like that's probably
I think
more
that's-
beneficial.
The curbing should be
Okay.
staying.
And then with the conditional understanding that that section drawing will be kind of given to staff prior to execution of the work.
I would also say the condition that if the handrails don't meet code,
Yeah.
that the code compliant ones will also be resubmitted.
Yeah, I had that on my list too.
Perfect. Awesome. That's the railings themselves,
Yeah.
right? Yep.
Yeah.
I did see that. Awesome. Okay.
That I don't think we'd have to have ahead of time.
Yeah, because those don't meet grass failure anywhere.
So is that kind of understood? So once you get in there and the work is kind of, going, the concrete work will give them access as such. But if you find that they can't, if the current railings do not provide that code requirement,
Mhm.
then that would be a different application for the replacement of railings.
Okay,
So you shouldn't go ahead and just kind of execute the work on the railings because it wouldn't be in the COA.
yep,
Is that
no,
understood?
absolutely, yeah, we'll do stairs and then
Yeah,
figure out the railing after and
just to ask them.
come back if I have to, or if it's
Okay.
administrative, whichever, but yeah, separate approval process.
Okay, very helpful.
And then, would you be able to just scroll up to the mock drawing? So, just so that way I get you guys what you're looking for. Because I tried to do my best there on the bottom one. Where it kind of show, do you just want a little bit more detail as far as here's where the cinder block would be, here's, okay,
Yes, sir.
all right.
Yeah, so
Easy enough.
kind of thinking about kind of a cake and you're kind of taking a knife and going through it and you open it up a little bit and you kind of see the side elevation of those conditions.
Yep,
I think that would help them.
okay,
Okay.
all right,
Some anticipated dimensions that gives them a little something of kind of how that works.
yep,
Okay.
okay.
Awesome. All right, is there a motion?
Yeah, motion on application BB 2406019, 916 to 918 Harrison Ave, to approve the application as submitted with the following conditions. The owner is going to submit scaled section drawings ahead of time in the event that, so that in the event if the landing is hollow, that documentation is there and work can continue to happen. The edging of the porch will be, the curbing will be extended along the new stairs. And that as a clarification, railings and approval of any railings are not included in this application, in this application.
Awesome. Is there a second?
Second.
Awesome. Any additional discussion needed? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passed. All right, thank you, sir.
Appreciate everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right, I don't know what the gentleman, since we don't really have a large audience today, what application?
Which application are you going to?
I am number 6, I believe.
I get it.
That's, yeah.
But look at me, I'm rocking like a hope.
Look at that. We can pivot to 6.
Yeah, so I can tell you because they had to send, so I think I have the applicant here. Which application are you here for?
Greg Zanitos, 76 Bowles.
5.
We'll go back.
5 say.
Yeah, we'll
It's
go.
okay.
What do you want to, doesn't.
Let's do that. Yeah, we've already started.
Around since we had a couple of people here around here, but. I'll dump your application.
So,
Okay. That's interesting.
We have a reputation for slow starters.
I guess, well, Jeff Rubin's always there.
It's a 6 chapter.
Yes, that's it. So that should be 3565 over.
Yes.
All right, so this application for 356358 Wilbur is we're proposing to remove and replace the original windows on 358, which is the left side of the property, with Anderson E series still little high windows to match the third floor window for a test case in 2022. So the applicant has clarified that only one window was replaced and the others on the side remain in place. The third floor window was approved to be replaced with the Anderson E series in 2022 as a test case. So with the replacement was also proposed during the 2022 application. That portion was continued at the September 19th, 2022 hearing. The commission comments from the hearing included the following. Fisher said that they sympathized with the applicant regarding the windows. Some of them do recommend repair. That's recommended to reach out to Columbus Landmarks so that they retain with subcontractors to do work such as window repair. So HBO staff had previously determined that the windows should be retained and repaired, having conducted a site visit on June 24th, 2022, with myself. So no applications for repair have been received, so the commission will need to determine if the remaining windows should be retained or replaced. If the commission determines that the existing windows can be replaced, HBO staff highly recommends that the first floor picture window on the front elevation is retained and repaired. And this is because those windows can often be difficult to replicate, and also due to their location, they're often the best preserved window being underneath the porch there on that first level. So additionally, HBO staff would recommend replacement windows from the improved windows list. So far with the Anderson windows that we had seen, the proportions and the thickness of the stiles and rails are not quite meeting the historic window proportions, and there's some details that don't quite match, such as minor corners that I see on Anderson windows. So the staff recommends continuation of application BB 2407021 at 356358 Wilbur Avenue to allow the applicant time to submit additional detailed photos of the currently installed third floor test case window. And then, so the basis for the staff recommendation is the Victorian Village guidelines regarding windows and doors, as well as the city code standards for alteration 3116.11. And then some additional city code here, we have the amendments to the city code regarding window replacement, and I think that's all for the staff recommendation.
Thank you, Jen. Can you state your name, sir, and can you sworn in?
Gary Batke?
Perfect. Do you agree to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. All right, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. I filed the original application to replace the windows in this property back in June of 2022. The reason I did that is because the windows are unsafe. They've got lead paint on them. Many of them do. Most of them are not operational. It's a fire hazard. I applied to replace them only after looking for over 6 months to try to find a contractor to help repair them or to solve the problems I just discussed. Anyway, so I filed the application in June of 2022. I got the COA, as was noted, and for the third floor windows. I would disagree that they do not comply. They're indistinguishable. I brought, during that whole process, when I was at like 4 or 5 different meetings, I brought a cutout of that window. And I can bring a cutout of any of the approved windows, and I guarantee you couldn't tell the difference. It's the same material. It's just, you couldn't tell it. They look exactly the same. It's aluminum clad wood on the inside. Anyway, so after that meeting where I got my COA, I proceeded to try to do as you suggested. I called Susan Keeney. She came over. Very nice lady, by the way. Had a nice discussion. She gave me a list of 8 contractors, and suggested that I call a couple to see, because the suggestion from Susan and from you is to see if we can't repair them first.
Makes sense.
Fine. I called, I contacted, emailed, called multiple times, all 8 on this list. 4 never returned multiple calls or emails. 2 are no longer in the business. 1 promised to contact me sometime in 2023 when they might be able to squeeze me in. I'm still waiting on that call. Okay. And 1 actually came to look at the windows, agreed that there was a problem with lead paint, was to promise to get me an estimate, and then since then has ghosted me. I never gave me an estimate, never returned my multiple emails, never returned my calls. Don't know if he's out of business, don't know if he retired, don't know where he is. Okay, so I've exhausted that list. So I'm now in the end of 2023. I've got the same problem. I had done everything he asked me to do. I made arrangements to replace, to be incremental, to do the ones on the side of the house, not facing the front of the property. I intended to continue to do what you suggested, and respect the front of the house in particular. But the sides of the house, really, for all the reasons I talked about, for safety reasons, for energy efficiency, there's really no reason that the side of the house cannot be replaced, especially with windows that you approved on its test case, and like I said, cannot be distinguished from the windows that are on your approved list, other than the fact that it's a different manufacturer. Moreover, on the side that I started to replace them on, they're literally 10 feet from vinyl replacement windows in the house next to me. So I would ask that I be allowed to replace those 6 windows on each side of the house. If you want me to continue to look, to respect the front picture window, those 2 front picture windows, I'm more than happy to try to do that. But I've been doing that for 2.5 years. And I've begged for the commission, for Susan Keeney, for others who say they can be repaired, to tell me who can do it. I'm more than happy to call them, to contact them. I've contacted everybody that you all and Susan Keeney asked me to contact. It's just not. It's 2.5 years. At some point, these windows need to be replaced. And I think now is the time.
Anything else, sir? Awesome, perfect, very helpful. So I'm just gonna shift over to the commissioners. So I do remember the test case, and so I remember the test case on the 3rd floor. I just haven't visually seen it. So I was gonna ask staff clarity of the test case. Has staff seen the test case?
Yes, I think that's why Kimberly is requesting the additional photo documentation so we get an idea of how the test case fits in place.
Okay,
Is it not page 7 of the,
And
I'm looking at the
yeah.
358 Wilbur Ave application, page 7, is that, yeah. Is that the replaced?
Yes.
windows?
And there's a picture of the side of the house.
the one that has the Anderson sticker,
Correct.
because that one I can tell from that picture that that is not a historically appropriate window
Okay,
because of the miter joints. The aluminum on the outside of the window is mitered at the corner, which is not a historically appropriate detail. And the windows that are on the list do not have that detail. They have a butt joint or
well,
that better matches how a historic wood window would be detailed. And it's someone that,
we brought in,
I know,
we brought in the window, the actual window we were going to use for one of the meetings. And the commission approved it on a test basis. Nobody said a thing about minors. And approved that on the test basis.
as a test though.
Oh, I
Not
understand,
for
but the
use
window
for-
itself was sitting in front of us. And it seems odd that we can't match that window that we've already put on the house.
I'll just interject just for 1 second. So at that time, I completely understand. So I think that where we are is we have a test case. The test case is installed. I think what we need to do is pivot to the staff being able to have an opportunity to review the test case. This commission didn't participate in the development of the approved windows list. That was dealt with staff. So I think our next step is really, we need staff to go out, be able to review and see if there's any shortcomings, and there may not be. But I think our observation is just what we see in the image, but without the backup of all of the history and the data that went into being able to create that approved list.
Okay.
So the path of least resistance is being able to use that approved list. Unfortunately, it's a little bit lengthier process just with being able to create a new or propose a new window.
Sure.
So,
But there are two issues. Before I asked to use the Anderson window, I called multiple of the people on the list. The Pella folks were particularly unresponsive. And I didn't want to give my business because, like any of us, when you call somebody and ask for their business, if they fail to get back to you, you don't want to use it. They've not earned your business. The Anderson people did. And I told them what the requirements were. And we brought in that window, and I've talked to numerous people in the window industry, and they tell me that there is absolutely no difference between this and the Marvin and the Pella windows that have been approved.
yeah, and I think all of us, our sensitivities to it, that we understand. It's just unfortunately, I don't think this body right now will be able to help move the conversation forward without that first initial step.
Okay, so
And so we completely understand, and I just don't want you to expect a variation in what we can do as this commission based upon what we know. I will also just suggest that a lot of us this commission is a little different than maybe in 2022 as well. So, just a little bit of the history of it. Luckily, I was there. I do remember because I was during the pandemic. There were some challenges with the contractors being responsive during that time. And I think we were, as a commission, we're trying to assist homeowners in conditions and constraints with being able to get contractors to be responsible.
Mhm.
Because a lot of us were dealing with those issues. So the test case seemed to be that path. And so I would just, without jumping in, I would like to kind of pivot back to the staff. So in that way, this potentially could be a window that other homeowners may, may be able to use as well. So there could be some benefit.
Okay.
Is there anything else that you think that while you're here today, if we, that we should talk through without, before we continue the application to go back to allow staff to set up a time for you to see it?
Well, again, the staff work on the installment of the windows, so obviously I can't go forward until we get some resolution here. But I'm sitting on this window now.
Yeah.
And now I'm happy to get cutouts, happy to go buy one of the other windows and bring them both in here, and you can tell me which is which. But I think that you'll find, as I have,
Yeah.
that these windows are, you cannot tell the difference between the approved list, other than that it's got a different manufacturer.
Makes sense. And I think, like I said, that just appreciate too, the diligence. I do remember the application. I totally remember, you bringing in things and such. So I don't want to dismiss that,
Yeah.
from that perspective, and I appreciate that. But I think that we probably should pivot back to staff to allow, you to be able to bring that in. And I think staff would be able to guide us about what's needed for us to be able to make a resolution if needed.
Okay.
Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to use the same window, obviously.
Yes.
It looks silly for using a different window.
Yeah,
I'm willing to certainly, if you'd like me to preserve the front windows, but these are the side of the house, like I said, literally 10 feet from replacement vinyl windows. I'm
Again, we appreciate it. We understand and we appreciate that.
and it's not like these are inferior or ugly windows.
Understand. So from a staff perspective, we're gonna continue, I'm presuming, a motion to continue.
Before we
Go ahead.
do this, I did want, so staff went out and looked at the windows, right, on the existing windows, and I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, we have.
You said you went out?
The test piece, yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious what you found with the existing windows, not the test case,
Gotcha.
and what your thoughts were.
Thank you.
No, they look to be in pretty solid condition. There's a couple of missing or cut sash boards. We have some glazing, kind of in standard, fixes that, repaired and you need over time for maintenance, things like that. So if you recall, overall, pretty good condition. I'm not sure if, again, like during that time with responsiveness with Pella and for the window repair people, that's kind of during the pandemic. And I'm just thinking, since we get so many window applications throughout our commissions, window repair, I'm hopeful that people are more responsive now, whether it's for new windows or for repairs, since we get those so frequently. And hopefully it's just during the pandemic time where we weren't getting any responses. The new windows were pushed out as like a year, 2 years. And
I would simply state that this really wasn't during the pandemic. This started, the application was June of 2022.
Okay.
I was in contact with these people till the end of 22 and into 23.
Gotcha.
yeah, we hear just so often the supply chain issues, so it was just a constant thing and continuing into 2022. And then with so many people who were able to actually do it during 2020 or 2021, people were just so very backed up. So it's really just common for us to hear of issues of whatever someone wants to do, just for not even back the contractors is very frustrating.
Well, and as I recall, the part of the decision for the test case, because as I say, we were on, I think all of us were, Pete might not have been here. We're here for that. I think the third floor windows were in the worst condition of the windows that we had looked at the time. Right.
They were not in great condition, but they were not necessarily worse.
Okay. Because what I'm struggling with and what I think we've been fairly consistent about, even back to 2022, was, certainly having staff look at the existing windows and provide recommendations on whether those could be restored or not, right? And clearly we gave that guidance at the time because you tried to do exactly what we told you, which absolutely give you credit for that. So, we continue to provide that same guidance to other applicants, right? And we had another one on the agenda that got pulled, but for a very similar type of thing.
Yes, sir.
So I want to make sure that we're not skipping over that step and how do we want to handle that, right? If we're having applicants not able to find contractors, I think that's something we need to discuss.
Makes sense, for sure. So that's a tough discussion
Yeah.
right now. I think
Yes.
staff, we're gonna have to, we're gonna need that guidance, from that perspective. So I think it's part of that test case analysis and evaluation. To Reed's point is where does that threshold of, the hardship associated with repair come into place that pivots to a replacement condition?
Yeah, and then another thing that we can also do, is take a look at just similar applications. We can't necessarily recommend any contractors or anything like that. Just take a look at recent applications and then we can send them to you as we can for whichever historic commissions. There might be people who are more responsive if they're clearly working on other folks in this.
That's how I find it.
Again, I referred to Susan Keeney, and Susan Keeney gave me all the people she knew.
Understand?
Yep, and I will say, in terms of consistency, where we have allowed for replacements in this type of situation, it's been window by window. So we want to see this picture correlates to this picture or to this window and, it's in this condition and okay, that one is suitable. So it's not going to be an all or nothing type of setup, I suspect. I can't predict the future, but based on what we've done in the past, it's been very prescriptive.
And I understand the distinction between the side window and the front window.
Yeah.
I get that.
Understand.
And that's why I didn't even propose that we do the front.
Right, right, and condition as well, right? I mean, obviously some of the windows are more rotten than others, and we try to take that all into account in those decisions, in terms of what can be easily repaired and what can't, to have staff say, yeah, they're all generally pretty good, right? Well, okay, some are more good than others, right? And we recognize that, but I wouldn't expect there to be a blanket yes, no, at the end of the day.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
So I'm supposed to send pictures of the test window.
Yeah, if you could send detailed photos of the test window, that way we can take a look and see what is matching up or if things are not matching up. And it's like some of the pictures, so there's some details that can catch on the side, but I'm not sure if they're exactly the same, the attic windows to the side, or if there's any other details that we can take a look at and evaluate.
I'm happy to do it. A little bit of a problem, as you can see, that's 40 feet in the air.
Yeah, the interior side is good, and if you're, able to just kind of how your attic situation is set up, have a camera, we're still safely inside the building, take a photo kind of close up. Rather
Like a
than
selfie photo with, okay,
ladder.
I can try. Okay.
We don't want you having to go on the roof or something.
Well, and I think that it's the same window as the one downstairs, right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
the,
exactly.
so if you can get more of the detail shots on that one, and if we know that those apply to the upstairs one. Not saying we don't want pictures of the upstairs one, but
That'd be helpful.
that might make it a little easier.
Okay. I will get those to staff and then decide from there. Okay.
And staff will provide maybe some old meeting minutes or applications of where windows have been repaired and that happened to this contract.
Oh, yes, yeah, we can take a look at some recent ones that have been responsive for folks.
Okay. Correct.
Thank you, Reed. Appreciate it. So is there a motion to continue, team?
Yeah. Motion on application VV 2407021, 356 to 358 Wilbur Avenue. The motion is to continue the application to allow the applicant to submit additional detailed photos of the currently installed test case windows and for staff to be able to provide a list of recently repaired contractors that have recently replaced windows under historic applications in the area.
Awesome. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion's continued. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. I think we had to start at the beginning.
Yeah, let's start over.
Let's see.
No, we just
We,
shifted a little bit because of time and that's, yeah.
so we're
We can go
on,
back
we're on
to
number three.
But yeah, so we, is one West Second Avenue here?
Yeah.
That's great.
Right.
Yeah.
We had a couple of early applications
Okay.
withdraw. And so we changed the order a little bit in terms of timing. So,
Okay, great, thanks.
Speeding through.
yeah.
Okay, so this application for 110 West Second Avenue, the proposal here, and this is also a continued application, so this was here last month, if everyone recalls. So the proposal is to install a new 13-foot by 13-foot paper patio and 13-foot by 13-foot prefab gazebo structure with a hot tub below to the rest of the existing deck for this new documentation. The application also proposed to install a new paper or concrete walkway and remove the existing walkway, to install a new bocce game court for this new documentation, and that bocce court will be constructed out of two 6x6 freshly treated stacked lumber with 24-inch 5 rebar and 6-foot off center and a 2x cap. It would be infilled with clean crushed rock and perforated drain pipe and overlaid with landscape fabric. This will also have the additional 3-inch layer of crushed limestone and topped with 1-inch oyster shell blend. There would also be repairing the existing 6-foot privacy fence as necessary and to clean and refinish with cabin black solid exterior wood stain and sealer. So we have the staff analysis from the prior meeting of June, and so the commissioners should discuss if the bocce court is an appropriate landscape feature and other similar courts would be allowable in the future. And then the overall height of the proposed gazebo I see here is discussed. And the staff recommendation is to recommend approval of application BB 2406025 at 110 West Second Avenue with the condition of scale measured elevation drawing of the pergola in relation to the garage is submitted to a subcommittee review or to HBO staff prior to issuing some certificate. So the basis for that recommendation is the City Code 316.13 standards for site improvements, as well as the Victorian Village guidelines regarding fences and insurance.
Awesome. Thank you, Jack.
Just a clarification, staff's recommendation, talked about a pergola, I think they meant the gazebo.
Oh, thank you.
We'll make sure, yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's right. The pergola mentions separate.
Thanks, Reed. Can you state your name, sir, and get you sworn in?
Thaddeus Jones.
Do you agree to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, sir? Okay. All right, so I'll turn it over to you. Anything
Sure.
you want to present or just kind of walk us
I
through
think you
the?
got the latest site plan there.
Mhm.
Basically, I think we talked before about maybe elaborating the canopy, the tree a little bit to show that more realistic, which I'm showing there now. So it gives us a more realistic view of how that tree is in position to the landscaping elements. Kind of shifted the gazebo structure back a little bit, so it's not underneath the canopy so much. And also, the owners decided not to do the fence. So we are eliminating that out of the context here.
Okay.
After a closer examination, I think it's going to need to be replaced sooner than later. So, but he doesn't want to deal with that right now. So, let's see, other than that, I think that's it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir. All right, Commission, are there any thoughts or questions?
So the gazebo changed, which is good, I think good.
Yes.
For the better. I do see two different roof types here. There's one that's asphalt shingles and one that's steel. Which one were you proposing?
I think we're going to go, seeing that that is an oak tree, I think we're going to get an asphalt roofing. Yeah,
Probably.
that's, yeah.
Okay.
And then it makes sense in terms of the height. I think that they were asking the scale drawing just to kind of clarify the height. the perspectives that you did were great, you know, in terms of being able to get elevation, but just being able to try to understand the height of it related to the garage. I think that's what they were asking for in terms of clarification.
As far as this one, as
Yes.
far as since the last meeting, no.
Yes,
I didn't-
yeah, I think that's what the
Oh.
staff was just mentioning.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just need the actual dimension of it? And, okay,
So like, for instance, the eve height of the garage is X, and then the, you know, proposed eve height of the gazebo was X, and that probably would suffice,
okay.
being able to clarify that.
I mean, I should have started with, I think it's an improved design. So I think we're better than where we started. So I appreciate you guys taking, you and the owner taking the feedback seriously and coming up with some alternatives here. I don't think I have anything to add.
Do we need to know what plants there?
For instance,
That shrub.
it says new shrub,
Where's Tim when you need him?
you know, Tim would be able to try to help us a little bit.
Well, that sounds like a subcommittee and all this stuff.
Yeah,
Do you get that detail? Okay,
yeah. And so typically it is being asked of what are the species, just a little bit more, just understanding that. If Tim was here, he would definitely kind of make sure that we're asking that question. So that may be something from a subcommittee perspective that, you know, we can approve it with the conditions and then have a subcommittee of, you know, team members that can review, I guess, the more specifics of the planting alongside of any clarification on the height. And that may be a way to kind of move the application forward.
okay.
Is that,
Is there a concern on like the type of plantings? Is it something that can be moved to staff, or would you prefer to put to something?
it kind of sometimes gets pivoted back to us because the Tim
Tim
kind of
likes-
Do I put Tim on the committee if he's not here?
Yeah,
We're gonna, I don't know whether we can.
by default, he would want to be on.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to help the application move forward, is that, okay,
Expectation.
perfect. So is there a motion then?
And what about the bocce court? Anything to add?
I know we talked about the bocce court last time, and it didn't seem like there was any concerns. I think it was just. Right.
Yeah.
The staff had some concerns, that's why I'm just making sure we.
I think it's just more, if I remember correctly, it was our unfamiliarity of a bocce court being introduced
Yeah.
into a project. But it seems like the sensitivity to what it is.
The picture helps too.
And
Picture
height
helps,
and
yeah.
materiality, there didn't seem like.
It's like the law.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
All right, well, I think we can do a motion. Motion on application VB 2406025, 110 West Second Avenue. To send the application to a subcommittee for their review of the height of the gazebo in relation to the garage, which the applicant will provide those heights and details for review, and review of the plantings also to be provided by the applicant for subcommittee review. Subcommittee is going to be Tim Skinner and
I'll do it.
Pete Schuler.
I'm not a plant person.
You're not thinking, well, you're a height person, I don't know.
I'm not either, but I'll do it.
I guess I'll be the third, for,
Awesome. We're gonna say something about the asphalt versus.
oh, thank you, yes, and that the roof for the pergola will be asphalt, and not steel, which is in some of the pictures.
Is there a second?
Second.
Just thinking about the asphalt roof, when would they have to select? Is it, I just thought about that just now.
A shingle.
Yeah, the
She needs to be on the approved shingle
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, so I would amend my motion to say, to include that the shingles need to be on the approved checks.
Okay, sorry. That's right.
Ideally complementing the main house, et cetera, but, you know, that's staff. approval, so.
For sure. Okay.
No rush.
Does that amendment to Reed's motion is accepted for whoever seconded?
Yes.
Awesome. Any further discussion, team? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay, so next up we have 721 North High Street, also 7 Bubbles Ave.
Hello.
Hello. This application for 721 North High Street and 7 Bubbles Ave. Proposal is to install a barrel awning over the existing outdoor seating area along Bubbles Ave. The commissioners at the June business meeting noted that the proposed awnings cover the transoms, which are contributing architectural features, and were hesitant about the awnings because of how much work previously put in to make sure that the transoms were retained. So a suggestion was made for having 3 separate awnings over the space. And the commission asked to know the listed plan, such as knowing if a year-round patio would be proposed. Scaled and measured elevation drawing with where the proposed or relevant existing facade was requested. And a large site plan marked where the right-of-way is and the awning overhang or existing elements was also requested. The owner had previously inquired into awnings over the patio, and HBO staff had recommended individual or separate awnings as opposed to continuous ones. So the Bakersfield at 733 North High Street had continuous awnings, but a reason for their approval was not provided. The proposed awnings will obscure an architectural feature, but the short-work design guidelines do support installation of awnings so long as installation does not damage or impair architectural features and reflect the architectural character and treatment of the building. So staff recommends approval of application BB 2406022 at 721 North High Street with the conditions that individual awnings over each section of the roofs are installed and the hardware is installed with consideration to the transoms. So it's not damaging the transoms, and revised materials to be reviewed by the commission subcommittee and HBO staff prior to issuing a seller certificate. Staff recommendation is based on the city code standards for alteration 3116.111, as well as the short-form design guidelines regarding awnings and canopies.
Thank you, Jen. Can you state your name, sir, and get you sworn in?
Yes, John Ingwerson,
Do you agree to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, sir?
I do.
Thank you, sir. All right, so go ahead and turn it over to you. You heard staff's kind of recommendation and thoughts related to the application, so I have to recuse myself. Okay, no worries. Sorry, I should have said that. Yeah, thank you, sir. Understandable.
Well, the last time I was here for the business meeting 2 months ago. And also Jacqueline, I did do the 2 elevations, hand-drawn elevations, which I believe I sent to you that are.
So
There,
I just filled in for Kimberly today.
there's one,
Okay.
and there's a second one above. One is with columns, and one is without columns. Jerry Reiser, right-of-way folks, for the right-of-way lease. They're on the fence as far as whether there are columns or not. Because restaurants go out of business and leave, and city right-of-way department has to take whatever remnants were left down. And so they don't particularly like columns, but the lower rails are currently, attached to the ground and were part of, I'm sorry, I forget the name of the Chinese restaurant from 2000, but that, was the previously approved and leased patio. The owners of Forno want it to be 3-season or 4-season. They want to operate through the winter, and they have really high demand. There's obviously understood that, separate awnings would perhaps set up better with the rhythm of the fenestration on the building, but they want to enclose the whole place for winter and bad weather, and having a gap between each of the awnings doesn't appeal to anybody that would be eating or try to use that space throughout the wintertime or rain events. So the last time I was here at the business meeting, they asked, hey, does this, do you want to use this thing and put sides on it? And I said I didn't know, and got back with them, and that is an updated rendering of our isometric from Capital City awning, and the curtains do roll up or come down. They're detachable, so they wouldn't be there, until it got cold enough that they would need heater or whatever underneath. And the heaters that they would use are the stainless steel jobs that have the tank and they sit on the inside, unattached to anything.
So we have a drawing showing where the posts are in relation to the existing facade of the actual building.
Do I have a drawing showing?
So I'm looking at, Kimberly's staff report here. And so I see it mentions that previously a scale measured elevation drawing notating where the posts are for the existing facade was requested. Just want to make sure if we already have that or not.
Yeah, that's
That's the
Yeah,
lower
it's
element.
the lower picture, yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Anything else, sir? Or we
No.
shift over? Okay.
Answer anything that you would have.
No worries. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, so just thoughts. So seems like staff, I think what Kimberly was trying to better understand is how does one, contiguous awning, how does it still kind of align with the existing administrations and those elements versus the individual awnings that would respond to those openings directly. So
So I'm gonna take it this way and see how it goes. So short north guidelines support installation of awnings, so long as the installation does not damage or impair architectural features and they reflect the architectural character and treatment of the building, right? So thank you. So using those criteria, then what do we think, right? And putting it in that context, and a barrel arch does not say to me historic or reflect that building's particular architecture. It does obscure the transoms with the putting one. I understand exactly why they want to do it, right? To extend the space for the restaurant. But it does hide that architectural feature, which is fairly prominent on this building. Whether there's posts or not, I think is much less relevant as to how the whole thing would fit together and the fact that it's a barrel arch. And then the new thing that it's added is the T enclosure, which I think adds a whole nother level of concern.
I mean, that then obscures the entire storefront and the stonework.
Right.
Everything that's historic about the first story of the building. For probably, let's be realistic, 6 months of the year.
Yeah.
Reading the short north guidelines, I don't know how it could have been.
Right. I would agree. Do you want to take it to pieces or?
no,
I don't know what part of it I couldn't prove.
right. I think that's what Kimberly was trying to extract out of the questions without necessarily directing, the application is trying to extract that feedback to help. How does the applicant satisfy what's written in the guidelines? I think that's what she was asking for.
I think we could give guidance to that. I mean, I think, I think the barrel, it should not be a barrel design, right? It does need to be separate between the windows, which I think pretty much takes out of the picture the sides, the need for the sides. And I think the posts also should not be there as well.
I agree. And I'd want to see exactly how, because you're either attaching it to historic stone, which means you're permanently damaging that stone, or you're permanently attaching it to a cast iron storefront, which is also permanently damaging the cast iron storefront.
Right. So we need to see all of those details as well for how that would work.
Well, I mean, okay, so we're having a discussion now about how, now, all of those transom windows are painted out. They are glass, but they're painted out. And so it gives it the look like it was a, considered metal sort of thing, but it's not. It's glass with paint.
So.
Stone and.
But I guess the other point is, if it was to be, I imagine that the way to do it would be to do it freestanding, so you didn't damage the building, and that you actually had columns, small tube steel that was against the wall that was screwed into the sidewalk. And then some sort of a gasket, a crushable seal that kept the weather out as it touched the building and didn't, hurt it. Unfortunately, there's a building directly across the street that's another bar that has black continuous awnings with columns. And so this owner doesn't, let's just say the owner of Forno is a character, but I imagine everybody that owns a bar is a character. So he is saying, hey, I don't, I still have, well, the Woods own the building anyway, he's a tenant. And yeah, to do no harm is important. I could see something that if you wanted it to be continuous, that we ended up with a slanted awning that had the lines of the fenestration matching that of the clear story windows. And if it were continuous, that there'd be a change in color at the limestone along, for the building columns along the sides, so that it sort of disappeared. But I think it's important that, the thing is continuous if you're trying to run a dining.
Yeah, and I think that I think we all understand the programmatic, goal and such, and it's just hard to compare, project to project, because the buildings themselves are kind of the thing that we're looking at as a group. And so the buildings are kind of in their own sense, even though they're within a larger context. So we completely understand the programmatic like for like, but really it's the application related to the building too as well that is also kind of overlaid within the mix of the conversation. So not necessarily to try to.
I'm just relating his point of view, not mine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Been in the business for a while.
Yes,
You're
sir.
in a tough part. I
For
mean,
sure.
part of it, what it is this particular building is a much more formal building. It's stone,
Yeah.
it has a lot more decoration to it. The storefronts themselves are the original ones that have a lot more ornamentation to it. And so covering all of that up is really obscuring what gives this building its character, which is different than the building across the street. So.
Next question, would you be happier with or more likely to approve if the awnings were black rather than orange?
I don't
I don't think that's
I
the
don't think it's the
problem.
color. Yeah, it's not the color, it's the shape and
Okay.
its attachment and its size. I like the orange.
Yeah, I mean, the orange is probably not a
I
problem.
like the orange and colors, they're all roughly in the.
Okay. Anything else that I should be aware of?
No, like you've done, I think you've worked really diligently with Kimberly. Unfortunately, Kimberly is not here today, so I would continue that conversation and just being able to, I think we've tried to interpolate, what Kimberly was trying to extract and from her notes, but it may be beneficial to kind of regroup with Kimberly accordingly too as well.
Great, all right. Again, you know, this is a nail soup.
No worries. Can we go ahead and a motion to continue?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Motion on application VV 2406022, 721 North High Street / 71 Buttles Avenue, to continue the application for the to allow the applicant to further refine the design.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's continue. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
He has 76 levels.
Evening.
Phyllis and her.
Good.
Alright, so 76 Wells Ave, the proposal here is to remove the existing slate roof and install a new Vermont glass slate roof for the cement documentation. So the original approval for the roofing for this building included shake shingles on the roof, which today HBO staff would not consider an appropriate shingle. But regardless of that, instead of the shake shingles, higher quality slate shingles were actually installed. So the structure that we're looking at was constructed in 1984, therefore not historic. And so overall, I think it is the design change is the reason that this application is on the agenda. So the commission should discuss if the change in slate size and color is appropriate. Staff recommends approval of application BV 240702076 Buttle Ave with any and all clarifications submitted to HBO staff prior to issuance of certificate. That recommendation is based on the City Code 316.11 standards for alteration and the City Code 316.112 standards for new construction. And then finally, Victorian Village guidelines regarding roofs.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you. Can you say your name, sir, and get you sworn in?
Nico Henderson,
Perfect. Do you agree to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Anything you want to add to this project or description?
Just pretty much the insured called the insurance company after he had some missing shingles. They deemed it unrepairable and had warranted for full replacement. So
Okay.
All right. So
So some premium.
any additional comments? I think it's really was kind of just the variety of, or the variation in size and potential color from the images that maybe Kimberly was bringing it back to us.
I gotta defer to you guys and slate.
Maybe. Any thoughts?
The slate is fine. I'm still shocked that they said you have to tear off 1,400 square feet or whatever of slate to replace 6 missing slate, but.
Well, they don't match, you gotta understand.
It's not my money.
Any concerns at all?
I don't have any doubt.
Okay.
Materiality is the biggest thing for me on this.
Yeah.
Yes, slate for slate.
Yeah.
I don't understand, but.
Personal.
It's a little unusual. Yeah.
So sometimes when we have a roof replacement, it's slate for slate, and we actually ask for certain things. So just in this whole mix, do we have all of the things that would be part of this application that if we were to need it?
Yes, I believe we have all the application information and basically just this is a design change. So if you have a bigger design change like this, we can't necessarily staff the group, although we already support it recommended the application.
Okay. Awesome. So
I swear you are.
we're just thinking about later on other projects, not.
okay.
Okay.
No.
No person. All right. So.
Sorry, so,
Yes.
yeah, because what you were just saying, because you had this come by on a slate application recently, which was, there's very specific things that are required, right?
That's right.
I don't remember what the specific things are off the top, but I know that's what you guys were. Do we have every one of those specific things in this slate assessment?
So I did not we have all of those that are required for slate removal, and the reason we're able to support it, whether or not we have that info, is because it's not a historic slate, it's not a historic building. Otherwise, like noticing the slate seems to be in perfectly good condition, but this is not a historic material that we're concerned about being removed or historic character. And so I don't believe we would need the slate documentation removal with it not being historic.
Okay, as long as you write all that down, I think. It's- Right, exactly.
So I think that's a good point. If the commission is comfortable, just know that as part of the legal.
Yeah.
You got it.
Awesome. Okay. So is there a motion that kind of captures a little bit of the spirit of that?
Yeah, I'm just curious. So you guys do slate regularly? All right. This is another question that comes up. I can't find anybody that does slate, right? Although this is also a different use. I'm just looking for the application.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time.
BB 24.
I got it. All right. Yes, motion on application, BB 24-07-020, 76 Pluddles Avenue, to approve the application, as submitted. With the justification, as noted by Jack.
Just non-historic.
Non-historic building, like for like material, there's a size difference, but, and in fact, most of the details are there. There is a slate assessment provided.
Awesome.
So,
Fantastic. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion at all? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Likewise. Thank you, sir.
Okay, since we've already reviewed the application for agenda item number 6, we can skip ahead to agenda item number 7, which is 846, 843 Neil Ave. Okay, so this application is for a variance or zoning change. So the request here is for maneuvering for existing parking area, which serves 2 adjoining parcels at 848 Neil Avenue and 846, 848 Neil Avenue, to allow vehicles parking on the southern parcel to use the northern parcel for maneuvering. The owner is the same for both parcels, is seeking a variance for an existing condition. So staff recommends approval of application BB 2407022 at 846, 848 Neil Avenue with any and all clarification to be submitted to HPO staff prior to issuance of the certificate. The basis for that staff recommendation is the City Code 312.25 for maneuvering.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Can you state your name, sir, and get you sworn in?
I'm Jim Salt. I'm here representing the owner, Chris Perry.
Perfect. Do you agree to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yeah, wait for 1 second. I don't know why we're.
I mean, lean into the mic.
There you go. No, I don't think it was you.
Okay, all right.
One of the mics was. So go ahead. I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Well, this is a parking lot that's been in existence for at least a dozen years, and this is 2 properties, same owner. He purchased the southern property first, and there was no parking, no off-street parking at that time. When the parcel to the north became available, he purchased that one and then put in a parking lot so that he could meet the off-street parking requirements for a total of 6 units. There's 4 units in the southern building, there's 2 units in the northern building. And at the time that he did it, for whatever reason, through the zoning process, it wasn't picked up that legally there needs to be a variance to allow vehicles to cross the property lines in order to maneuver in the parking lot, so that when they leave the park, well, both in terms of entering and parking, but also in leaving the parking lot, they were in a forward motion as they enter the alley. So this is merely to bring this existing parking lot into compliance with the current zoning.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Any questions or thoughts or concerns or?
What spurred this application? What caused you to come to the commission with?
He was doing work on the southern building, the 4 unit. And so we had a building permit. There was work going on, and it came to the attention then of the city in his conversation with zoning and so forth, that there never had been a variance received for this. So it's a matter of, bringing it up to date and, just making sure that everything's up to code and in compliance. Yeah.
Got
This is strictly documentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much, it's a legal matter, and I'm here in front of you because you're, all of the surrounding property owners were notified, and they asked for any input from, and recommendations from neighborhood groups and that sort of thing. So We're just seeking a recommendation from the commission. We've got the meeting in a couple weeks with the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Perfect. Awesome. So is there a motion to recommend the variance?
Go for it.
Motion to recommend VV 2407-022-846 Neal Avenue. So motion to recommend variance for parking maneuverability.
Awesome. Is there a second?
Second. Let her have it.
Perfect. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's
Thank you.
great. Thank you so much.
Have a good
Appreciate it. The porch is looking good too.
Oh,
The porch replacement is looking good.
out front, yeah, that's right. I wasn't that long ago I was here.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, yes.
That was the bad wood that was on the alley.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the application.
I think so. That's
Do
cool.
we have the applicant for 312 West Hubbard? Which application you have on?
The conceptual, 32 bottles, named 32 bottles avenue.
Oh, gotcha, okay, so that's the commission, okay, we jump to number 10.
Yep.
Yep, you're welcome to come up, yeah, I don't see any other applicants, we'll just get you faster on here. Okay, so for this application, let's see, jump to number 10 here. Okay, so 28 to 32, 232 Buttles Ave. This conceptual application is proposing to remove existing landscaping wall and relocate it to the east towards the property line. It would also include construction of a new pergola to be attached to the building and an installation of a new fence along the back patio of the three-unit building. So while not normally considered by the commission, stepped into with the concern that the proposed pergola may violate the National Electric Safety Code, as the pergola is just inches beneath the electrical surface entrance and surface conductor. So without increasing the height of electric surface weatherhead, it would not be safe to place a pergola at a proposed location, both from an initial construction and maintenance perspective. So additionally, safe distance from the electrical equipment should be discussed, as pergolas are not prohibited in coding guidelines, but public safety does need to be taken into account. HBO staff would be more supportive of the pergola if it were a freestanding feature rather than incorporated or attached into the wall of the building. The commission should consider if other pergolas are added to the rear of the row house, and if they would also be appropriate. For future application, HBO staff would be impatient for a color swatch for the proposed stain, so if this comes back for action review. The area with the curved retaining wall is low and overgrown, so the other question would be if the commission would be supportive of alterations to the retaining wall, and would a drawing of the updated condition be helpful at the next review. So this is a conceptual application, so the recommendation is that the commissioners should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at a future meeting, so no action is required. The basis for the staff recommendation is the City Code 316.11 standards for alteration, the City Code 316.13 standards for site improvements, the Victorian Village guidelines regarding porches, and that is it.
Thank you, Jeff. Can you state your name, sir, and get you sworn in?
Yes, Kareem Ammer.
Perfect. Do you agree to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, sir?
I do, yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right.
Yeah, good to see you guys again.
Likewise.
So this is actually, it's a 6-unit building. We have the last 3 units on the end there closer to High Street. You know, in its simplest form, we want to clean it up and make it look nice and provide some privacy. I think the comment regarding the electrical panel ties in well to having a recommendation for the pergola to be freestanding. I think that actually solves that problem. And we would be will revise our subsequent application accordingly. You know, again, at its core, we like some coverage back there. We're not discriminatory as to what type of coverage. At a previous meeting, I saw prefabricated gazebo being proposed. Did seem like there was precedence for that or tremendous appetite, but we would consider things like that as well. I guess we're looking for direction. We thought the pergola was probably most articulated and would fit in best, but again, we're looking for feedback as to if there are options that is preferred or if there's precedence for covering parts of that back porch, and then, just want to add a privacy fence as well, so.
Thank you. All right, so I think we had just two items. I think the pergola is self-standing, or I think makes sense. And then a retaining wall was also talked about a little bit too as well, so just being able to add a little bit of color and kind of understanding, what the retaining wall and that condition and materiality would be. I think that's kind of what was also in the staff report.
Sure, so, retaining wall, you could go back to an area, not the aerial, but, yeah. Maybe another one.
Trying to call it that.
Yeah, I'd call it a landscape wall over a retaining wall.
What's left of a retaining.
Yeah, you know, I should have a better picture for next time, but it essentially towards the rear of the property, it just sort of juts out. I think all we're trying to do is have that flush with our neighbor's chain link fence, so the landscape wall will come up just in front of the chain link fencing. Allows for more room for that pergola, and opportunity back there for space, so. I'll get a clearer picture, but that current landscape wall doesn't look phenomenal. And we'd be looking to really just move it back and replace with a newer one.
Any other feedback or comments or just kind of thoughts that would help the applicant, advance the design solution?
Yeah, I put the electrical comment in there, surprise. I think make sure that you're looking into that, because even if you make it freestanding, the conductor is still going to go over the pergola, and there are code requirements for that in terms of the NESC. There may also be requirements from AEP. I don't know if it's AEP or the city power, but they often have clearance requirements as well, because that is owned by the utility company and has to be maintained by them. So that's a concern, because I think it still had, and if we can look at page 6, I guess is what I'm looking at, just probably the best view, at least it's the one I've got or is it not page 6? It's the last photo packet. Yeah, so it's before the drawings, so go back.
So, yeah, still hard.
I think that's it. Yeah. So if you zoom in on that, where the electric meters are there. So you can see the weatherhead there above the electric meters where it has the drip loop. And that's well below where the pergola is supposed to be. So you could actually have the drip loop interfering with the pergola. So it's just a concern. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying you're going to have to really check the code on that. And in terms of building the pergola, you're going to have a problem, because that has to be all rubbered up for someone to work and build something adjacent to that, unless they're licensed or qualified to do that kind of electrical work.
I'd say in terms of submission too, just make sure your site plan is complete, any work you're doing on the site, if you're doing any landscape work, or if you're redoing the concrete, I think it is. Any other landscape, just make sure it's all shown, so we have a complete picture.
Yeah, with details on materials.
Otherwise, issue with parking.
Okay. The fencing, I think we submitted something in compliance with the Victorian Village Guidebook as well. That's okay as well?
It's in terms of fence, is that what you said, fencing?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember seeing the fencing profile.
Yeah,
Could have sworn we had elevation.
I'm not seeing.
it just says existing wood fence,
Yeah, and the existing chain link. I don't see
Yeah, I
it.
didn't see elevation either.
so just make sure that's a.
Okay. And as long as that is in compliance with the Victorian Village Guidebook, there'd be no issues with the fence there.
Should be.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then just kind of thinking about it, materiality for gazebo and such is really difficult because, again, like we were just talking about, sometimes with the awnings, it's like not necessarily like for like, so, we kind of try to take in consideration the character of the existing home. That residential setting is a little bit different than this kind of commercial setting of,
multiple units. So just,
Waiting.
don't necessarily say, oh, that materiality is something that they approved on that project and that setup. That's something that should be appropriate for this particular one. So just kind of give some consideration to, with that. Not saying that we don't want to mislead you in terms of design or I guess restrict you from that perspective too as well. So I'm just clarifying that for you to keep your kind of creative mindset kind of going to solve this particular problem. Okay,
Appreciate that.
awesome. Anything else we can help you with?
I don't think so. I think we're gonna, be specific with our site plan and layout materials and adjust the pergola, in consideration with, the electrical panel and the weather and so forth, and come back in August.
Awesome. All right, well, thank you. Appreciate your help.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
If there's no one here for the other applications, do we still hear?
Typically,
Just one more, right?
8 and 9.
Oh,
Yep.
oh, yeah.
So the one that requires action, if the applicant's not here, I recommend continuing so they have a chance to come back. The one that is, or actually they're both required action. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for any required action, unless it's something that the commission feels very comfortable, it doesn't have any questions or concerns, if they're fine with approving with no conditions, I would say continue so they have, can come and have that discussion.
it seems like both are continued. Is that,
I'm just
just
taking a
look
look
at the applications basis, but
Double
I'll give you
check.
guys some time. I was just reading the application.
Eight is definitely a continue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
what's? Is 9 really?
That one I couldn't really grasp.
What's happening?
What's happening. That's different.
Yeah, that one has had a lot of different work and fixes over the years.
Okay.
Just trying to figure that out, if that's a good solution, that kind of thing.
And it's not something we need their input to
Yeah.
explain it.
Go for it, yeah.
All right, well, I guess I got a couple of motions here then. Don't need to introduce the.
9 for 9.
Yeah, I know, right?
Thank you, guys.
Pete took one of them.
Easy one.
Right, I'm like, I gotta get the practice when Tim's not here. Motion on application VV 2407023, 312 West Hubbard Avenue to continue the application.
Is there a second?
Second.
Awesome. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Application is continued. Thank you.
Motion on application VV 2407024, 222 West Hubbard Avenue to continue the application.
Awesome. Is there a second?
Second.
Just rock, paper, scissors for that one.
Either way.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's continued. So anything else? Any other business that we need
I
to?
don't think there's any new business or old business. Yeah, so nothing there, so all we need now is to just looking for.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Let's go for it. Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?